while them a play. The Rastaman serious.
St. Stephen, they call him the proto-martyr, the first martyr, the prototype for all martyrdom. The first one to give up his life for the sake of the gospel.
Amen.
Having seen the glory of God, having seen Jesus Christ at the right hand of the Father, he could do nothing else but speak truth to power. And it didn't matter who he was going to offend, who he was going to upset. He understood that I have seen the glory of the Lord and I am not playing games anymore.
Amen.
And so Stephen was confronting the religious authorities. And that's why they stoned him. Because he was showing them a faith that had upset the status quo. As the scripture says in verse 8, and Stephen, full of faith and power, did great wonders and signs among the people. He was showing them this faith that had power. They hadn't seen anything like that. They were going to synagogue, going to temple all the time, and they had not seen any faith with such power as Stephen was showing them. And seeing that power, they were of course gravitating towards Stephen and listening to the message of the gospel, and that message of the gospel was upsetting everything. All that the scribes and Pharisees had worked so hard to build for themselves in order to hold the people down in oppression under the empire of the Romans, while currying favor from the Romans so that they could have status and stature, so that they could be the gatekeepers of the people. All that they had built for all of these years, people like Stephen was coming around upsetting the status quo. And they didn't like that. And so he told the powerful, within his particular context, all about themselves. Which of the prophets have you not persecuted? Have you not killed? We can go back from the beginning of time and we can list the litany of prophets and holy ones and righteous ones and servants of the Lord whom you have destroyed, whom you have killed, whom you have done away with. I can tell you all of their names. I can tell you exactly how you betrayed them, and by betraying them, how you have betrayed God. And doing so, he signed his death note. I mean, imagine that. Looking out, I'm going to make some assumptions that many of you have retired. But imagine that, especially from the perspective of being retired. Imagine speaking truth to power when you see stuff gone wrong. Some of you have had to do it. I can look in the faces of you and I know the history that you have had to do it. But you know it was never easy. It was always a risk. And it always came at great cost. But imagine that. Imagine telling truth to the power structure. Telling them all the wrong that they have done from time immemorial to now. Telling them how you know firsthand by what you have seen and by the history that you read, how they have constantly and consistently betrayed the principles for which they say they stand. When faced with the challenge of speaking truth to power, which side do you stand on? Seeing the glory of God, seeing Jesus at the right hand of the glory of God, Stephen chose to stand on the side of the Holy One.
Amen.
He had seen God's glory and he knew that Jesus was on the right hand. And he knew that that glory and that power demanded certain things of him and certain things of us. And so he recounted the history of God's relationship with God's people, keenly highlighting how the religious leadership had been the chief ones in betraying the will of God. Do you see Jesus at the right hand of power? Do you believe him to be at the Father's right hand? Or is that merely some line that we say in the creed of you? Do you believe that he is seated at the right hand of the Father, so much so that you can actually really see it in your mind's eye? Can you look to the heavens, even of your own mind, and see the glory of God and Jesus Christ at the right hand of power? If you can see it, then whose side do you desire to be on? The established religious order that is committed to upholding the empire and the oppression of the people? Or God who is with us and who was made flesh and who is made flesh among us, that we might be freed from the bondage of sin and death? Brothers and sisters, beloved, if you desire to be on the side of the Lord, then open your eyes to what you are seeing. Open your eyes to those who may be pretending to be his disciples while betraying the gospel and the people the gospel is designed to save. Remind them, one and all, by your thoughts, by your words, by your deeds. Remind them of what is required of those who have seen the Lord's glory. Remind them of what is required by those who believe that he indeed is seated at the right hand of power, that he indeed will come again to judge the living and the dead, that he indeed has been made flesh amongst us. Beloved, we behold the baby that became a man that was crucified for our sakes, and we know in truth that he came that we might have life. So yes, it is right that after the incarnation we think of martyrdom. Because after seeing the Holy One love us so dearly that he came on this world, took our flesh that we might know how to live. What else can we do? In thanksgiving, but speak truth to power, that all might see the glory of God and come to realize that Jesus Christ is indeed at the right hand of power, coming for you, coming for me, that we all can be together in his kingdom. Amen.